On Osrc News at 7, FRSC urges drivers to avoid overspeeding as Ondo fatal road crash claims 26 lives. House of Representatives appeals to Labour to shelve its planned nationwide protest over telecom tariff hike. Lawyer questions legality of IGP Egbetoku's tenure extension. From the foreign scene, tension as confrontation between government forces and rebel groups spreads across DR Congo. Thanks for joining us. This is Osrc News at 7. I am Sahid Arabisala. We begin from Ondo State, where the Federal Road Safety Corps, FRSC, has again urged motorists to desist from overspeeding, as such causes avoidable road crashes resulting in loss of lives and property. The admonition came to the fore as 28 persons were burnt beyond recognition in a fatal accident caused by head-on collision of two vehicles on the Lagos Expressway in Odibo local government area of Ondo State. Confirming the development, Ondo State Sector Commander of the Federal Road Safety Corps, FRSC, Samuel Ibitoye, said the accident was caused by excessive speeding and traffic violation, which led to a head-on collision by the two vehicles, while 28 passengers out of the 30 passengers lost their lives. Ibitoye cautioned drivers to at all times exercise patience on the highway, saying that the contract between the drivers and passengers is to deliver them to their destination safely and not to their graves. He added that passengers must partake in road safety by cautioning drivers who always throw caution into the wind by speeding and disobeying traffic rules, adding that passengers can as well report them to FRSC personnel on highway. Meanwhile, the remains of the deceased have been deposited at the General Hospital in Ore, while the two survivors who sustained high degree of injuries are receiving treatment. Resurgence of fatal farmers-herders clashes in Ondo State has become a disturbing issue for residents, with 5 men brutally murdered in a single day, allegedly by suspected herdsmen. The fate of farmers and government's effort to curb this menace remain major concerns for the people. Omoro Lambuji sought the opinions of farmers and security experts on measures to tackle the crisis. The report.
One of Nigeria's most persistent security challenges is the conflict between farmers and herders, which has led to the loss of lives and the destruction of farm produce on a large scale. Ondo State and agrarian hope has not been spared as farmers continue to fall victims on their farmlands. In response, the Ondo State government established a Amotekun Corps to work alongside other security agencies in tackling the menace. For a while, residents had a sense of security. However, the killings have resurfaced in recent times. In just 1 week in August 2024, 2 farmers, Joshua Gbadamosi from Ifira Akoko and Sunday Ayeni from Ubalka Akoko, were gruesomely murdered by suspected herdsmen. While security agencies and the Ondo State government were still investigating the incidents, another strategy struck as 5 able-bodied farmers were allegedly killed on their farmlands by herders. These alarming incidents, according to representatives of farmers in Ondo State, have instilled fear among the people. The chairman of the Ondo State Agricultural Commodity Association, Abiodun Adejo, confirmed that farmers are now abandoning their farms as herders, accompanied by hundreds of cows, invade their lands and kill at will.
Many of the farmers who have farms, re-farm, that is cocoa, cassava and co, they have abandoned the place because of this fear of these herder killers that is terrorizing that area daily. So I hope with this happening now, the government should please try as much as possible to make sure that they do something very pragmatic in a way to make sure that farmers are not being driven away from their farms, because we had food shortage last year. If anybody that is on those things, we know that there was a time we were having problem, that is, food was scarce. In fact, somebody came and said the cost of food item in Ondo State is higher than any other neighboring state. And why? Because many of our farmers ran away from the farm because of the fear of being killed or being maimed by these people. And I'm sure Ondo State, the governor now is aware of the whole thing, and I'm sure he's on top of the matter. I think he will do something very, very urgently.
Work in harmony, work hand to hand to give information to the security agency. So if security agents have information to work on, that is where they can solve this problem. The civilian, the security author, and the indigenous have a lot to do, because one, they know these people, they are becoming there, they know them, but they are afraid to give information out, and information is power.
Meanwhile, security agencies urging citizens to provide timely information to assist in securing the state. Omoriola Humbeji, Osrc News.
Adequate funds and funding for the third tier of government in Nigeria has become an issue of concern for some citizens following the Supreme Court's judgment which granted financial autonomy to the local government. Now, with a mandate for direct payment of allocation from the federation account into the local government accounts of each of the 774 council areas. This next report examines the future of the Joint Allocation Account Committee and how local government can navigate financially. Local governments have long struggled with funding and autonomy, and recent developments which eventually granted financial autonomy to the third tier of government have brought the debate into sharp focus. A key issue that has come to the forefront is whether there is still a place for the Joint Allocation Account Committee, following a land-backed Supreme Court ruling that challenges the way funds are distributed to local government.
This is Section 162 of Nigerian Constitution. Created or gives legal backing to what is called federation account. And we have three federating units in Nigeria. We have the federal government, we have the local government, so the state government and the local government. And that Section 162 or Section 1 to 10 made provisions for how the money accruing to the federation account should be shared among those three tiers of government. But close to the end of that provision, it says that the money accruing to the local government of a state will be paid to that joint account you spoke about. But that was aside before the federal government of Nigeria under President Tinubu took the matter to the Supreme Court of Nigeria for adjudication. Supreme Court has rightly decided that the money accruing to any local government of a state should no more be paid to the joint account. That the money should be, or the fund should be paid directly to the account of each local government where the money belongs.
While this ruling is seen as a victory for local government, experts believe it also comes with new challenges, particularly when it comes to generating enough revenue to meet the needs of the people.
The local government is coming full autonomy, and of course I know there will always be a relationship between the state and the local government, just as we have it, between the state and the federal government. So all the three arms of government, they have to come together and see the way, a common ground to be able to share responsibility. All this kind of, coming autonomy, JAC and all that, there was no JAC for ab initio, but JAC was introduced for a purpose. So for you to eliminate JAC, then you must know that those problems that, that were recurring at that time were solved. And all this thing is not about ego. It's about how do we make this thing work, and it will now be a kind of benefit, a mutual benefit to everybody.
Apart from expanding revenue base through productivity-driven initiatives, the survival of the local government may well require a change in the sharing formula for allocations.
Even under the previous conditions, there's what we call counterpart funding. There are projects in states that both the World Bank, the federal government, and the state government are jointly funding. Now, if there are issues of development at the grassroots that federal government want to intervene, that state government want to intervene to help local government, then we talk about this of counterpart funding. The mistake that the federal government made before taking the matter to court, to Supreme Court, was that the federal government did not prepare the grant before the Supreme Court decided. Money was supposed to be with the state government and be distributed to local government. So after the state government has added 10% of its own IGR to it, the federal government was supposed to have made a provision with the Central Bank of Nigeria that each local government should open a current account in its own name. The National Assembly, the Senate, and the House of Rep has the singular responsibility to look at the letters and the pronouncement, the decisions of the Supreme Court, and amend Section 162 in the order of the decision made or the judgment made by the Supreme Court, which means the joint account will have been removed or deleted from the Constitution.
Some Nigerians are hopeful that local governments will now have more control over their finances, while others remain concerned about the potential for mismanagement and lack of accountability.
We cannot say that Jack will not be in existence. We cannot say that, because even with the autonomy of the states, they are still attending FAC to distribute money. Even the constitution will happen, then there must be a body through which they will meet, and the constitution calls it a board. Whether a board or commission or whatever they call it, or council, there must be a board.
The treasurer of each of the local government, they are their own accountant general. They will be the one to go and represent each of the local government at the jack level. When they do that, they will receive their money directly.
Recently, the National Union of Local Government Employees, NOGE, a body of workers in all the 774 local councils in Nigeria, expressed disappointment over the 6 months delay in getting accounts opened for local government with the Central Bank of Nigeria, a situation resulting in the withholding of funds meant to be disbursed and used for the effective administration of local government across the country. The Supreme Court's decision may change the way local governments operate. For now, the challenge lies in ensuring that autonomy leads to better service delivery. Sahid Aribisala, Osrc News.
We're due for a break on the news at 7. We'll be back with more stories. Stay with us.
Hey, Iskili, báwo la ti fẹ́ sanwó ni? Farabalẹ̀. 1,000. We go wash play tire o. Farabalẹ̀ now.
Madam, èló lówó wa?
Brother, na 3,005.
Màá fún yín ní owó òpè káàdì Glo ẹlẹ́gbẹ̀rún 10,000.
Ha! 10,000.
1,000 naira credit. Now you dey turn to 10,000.
No. All of us don't know about Glo Berekete. Ní ìlọ́po mẹ́wàá nísìnyí.
Ṣé o ti gbọ́? Ìlọ́po mẹ́wàá ló máa gbà lórí iyekíye tó o bá rà sórí ohun ìpè Glo Berekete 10 times rẹ.
I told you. Na wa go tell.
It's still Osrc News at 7. You can watch us live on our website www.osrc.ng or follow us on Facebook at Osrc TV, and on YouTube you can subscribe to our channel Osrc TV. Ondo. To more stories now. The House of Representatives Committee on Communications is interfacing with the leadership of the Nigeria Labour Congress and the nationwide protest scheduled for February 4, 2025 over the 50% hike in telecom tariff. The Nigerian Communications Commission recently approved a 50% tariff increase for telecommunication companies, citing prevailing operational costs. Displeased by the development, the NLC vowed to embark on the nationwide protest, calling on the federal government and the National Assembly to revert to the old tariff in the interim. The union noted that the rally would serve as a warning on the dangers of imposing such an unfair increase on a struggling population. Similarly, the Director of Public Affairs of NCC, Reuben Morka, said the Commission is making efforts to engage the NLC over the new telecom tariff. Social Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, has urged President Bola Tinubu to direct of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Lateef Fagbemi, and appropriate anti-corruption agencies to probe allegations that over 26 billion naira of public funds are missing, diverted or stolen from the Petroleum Technology Development Fund and the Federal Ministry of Petroleum Resources in 2021. SERAP said anyone suspected to be responsible for the diversion or embezzlement should face prosecution as appropriate if there is sufficient admissible evidence, and any missing public funds should be fully recovered and remitted to the Treasury. SERAP urged President Tinubu to use any recovered stolen funds to fund the deficit in the 2025 budget and to ease Nigeria's crippling debt crisis. In the letter signed by SERAP Deputy Director Kolawole Oluwadari, the organization said, quote, "There is a legitimate public interest in ensuring justice and accountability for the allegations," end quote. A legal practitioner and secretary of the Association of Legislative Drafting and Advocacy Practitioners, Tonye Jaja, says only an alteration of the 1999 Constitution can legalize the appointment and tenure extension of the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun. Jaja, in a letter addressed to the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Lateef Fagbemi, stay in office lawful and legal. The AGF had initially said Egbetokun's appointment, which took effect on October 31, 2023, would end when he attained 60 years of age on September 4, 2024. However, before the IGP attained the retirement age, the Police Act was amended to allow the occupant of the office to remain and complete the original 4-year term granted even though he has attained age 60. The AGF then stated that the Police Act amendment had statutorily extended Egbetokun's tenure to end on 31st October 2027 to complete the 4-year tenure granted to him. And outside Nigeria, fears are growing that the conflict between Congolese government troops and M23 fighters could spread across the region. The rebel group is advancing into South Kivu province in the east and seizing the key city of Goma last week. Aderunke clearly completes the story.
M23 fighters consolidate their gains in Goma after clashing with government troops last week. Their next battle in the city is for people's hearts and minds. Crowds lining up the streets here on M23 as its commanders take part in what appears to be a cleaning exercise. As uncertain claim takes hold in Goma, aid groups say the humanitarian crisis is worsening. Residents are starting to end. In the last week alone, more than 700 people have been killed and at least 2,800 injured.
What we can confirm is that for more than a week, we have been facing several cases of mass casualties. We are receiving the injured and have treated more than 1,000 at this hospital. More than 80 people arrive in very difficult conditions each day.
In neighboring South Kivu province, residents say they are fearful. Armed fighters are trying to gain ground near the city of Bukavu, but the army backed by Burundian troops have so far held them back.
We hear rumors of war in Goma, and that's why we're afraid. We're stocking up on supplies for our homes because we don't know how long this war will last.
Burundi's president ever writes Ndami's role in the fighting is a threat to stability and could spread fighting to his country and the region. Rwanda denies supporting the M23.
Can't the international community see the consequences? I'm telling you that if it goes on like this, there's a risk of war spreading throughout the region. The people can't let it happen.
Nearly 3 decades of fighting in the DRC have drawn in thousands of soldiers and UN peacekeepers. 18 of them died in the last week of fighting. Kinshasa has 4 years rejected talks with the M23 armed group, but worn out by decades of strife. Some Congolese say that perhaps it is time for all parties to the conflicts to find common ground.
Now back to Ondo State in Akungba-Akoko, where the community played host to eminent personalities from different regions of the world to celebrate the life of Pa Gabriel Adelabu Ologun-Orisha, whose dedication to education and community development left an impact on many lives. Pa Ologun-Orisha, who passed at age 93, was remembered as a visionary leader and a pillar of his community. Blessing Obe has more on the story.
It was a celebration of life for a man who was a shining example of vision and hard work. Pa Gabriel Adelabu Ologun-Orisha, who passed at age 93, recognized the transformative power of education and dedicated his passion to changing many lives through it. His funeral service at Christ Apostolic Church, Akungba-Akoko, Ondo State, brought together family, friends, and loved ones who gathered to pay their last respect to a man whose impact on his community and beyond was profound. Delivering the sermon, Pastor Samuel Oladele emphasized the brevity of life, urging believers to use their time diligently.
21. Our Lord's blood at the cut of time continues its march at a fixed rate of 60 seconds, a minute, 60 minutes, an hour, 24 hours, a day, and so on and so forth. Then the year will just roll by like that. Time does not wait for anyone. Therefore, whatever we have to do it now.
For his family and loved ones, the passing of Pa remained rooted in those he influenced.
My father is everything that I am today. And a Shiva, a man who never went to school, but ensure that all his children are well educated. Today, we thank God for all that we've been able to achieve. Many parts. He was a lover of education. He was forthright, very hardworking, very energetic. He sponsored even children that were not his children overseas, and children that were not sent to school by their parents, who ensure he pays their school fees.
Father contributed to development of Akungba, both education, development. My father is a general contractor. The work that is doing by that time is still speaking.
We are here to celebrate the life of a successful man, Baba Ologun-Orisha. And as friends of Sam, we are also here to keep him company and demonstrate to him that he's not alone in this ceremony of giving a befitting burial to his dad. We're happy to be in Akungba, and we pray that God will continue to keep the Ologun-Orisha family and sustain them.
He has been a nice man, and he loves his children, and he takes care of them very well.
Guests later gathered at the reception venue to further celebrate his well-lived life. Pa Gabriel Adelabu Ologun-Orisha was a farmer and principled man who contributed to the development of infrastructure in Akoko communities. Blessing Obe, Osrc News.
Now, the final burial and Thanksgiving service for late Pa Ajewole Falana, a prominent Akure chief in his lifetime, has been held in Akure, Ondo, and was buried at age 88. Joy Pius reports that the event brought together dignitaries from far and near who described the deceased as a man of integrity. The reports.
final burial ceremony and Thanksgiving secondances brought together friends and associates as they joined family members to celebrate the lifetime of their patriarch. Late Pa Falana, popularly referred to as Baba Suru, was born on the 30th of September 1936 and left the earthly stage on the 1st of February 2020. The officiating minister, Reverend Canon Enoch Adepoju, described the deceased as one who was committed to the things of God's kingdom, charging believers to live like Christ. Thereafter, family members proceeded to the private cemetery where their father was buried for prayers. The reception also served as a platform to celebrate the deceased's son, Oluwaseyi Falana, and wife, who were honored with chieftaincy titles as Akogun and Yeye Akogun of Egbeli Egbedi group of chiefs in Akure Kingdom.